brought to you by Capital Mortgage 20. Good morning, Detroit. Welcome here. What a gorgeous day outside. May 16, 2020. I'm Harvey Freed. There's Lisa Lawson from Capital Mortgage.
Everybody. It's absolutely beautiful out. Thanks for joining us.
All right. We got a great mortgage real estate show here. We got Harry Glanz on the Zoom broadcast out of his home.
Good morning, everybody. How's everybody doing today?
There you are, loud and clear. And got a great staff here. We got Doug Andrus, and of course, from Keller Lakeside. He runs the show over there. We got Jacques Gagnon in with his team. Jacques, always great to talk mortgages, real estate with you. Thanks for firing me up last night. One of the things we started the show off with actually last night was just getting motivated. And we talked about the pent-up demand. Holy moly. Doug, you already talked about it. Jacques, if you want to jump in right away with it, there's no doubt it was a pent-up demand.
Yeah, as soon as the ban was lifted for showings, we had 15 to 16 showing requests on one of the properties within 24 hours. Multiple properties in the market, a lot of properties going pending before buyers can even get out there. So the lesson that we're learning right now is if you are interested in buying a property, you have to get pre-approved and be ready, because sometimes the property that you're dreaming about is going to be gone before you wake up.
So Jacques, we were talking about that in the office since it started happening on May 7th when the governor said, hey, realtors, you guys can go out and start showing homes again. Multiple offers, listings hit the market. Properties going for over list price. And Harvey's going to talk about it. If people don't have that pre-approval letter in hand from a reputable lender, Harvey, what's going to happen?
They're going to be in trouble here. They're going to cause a lot of unneeded stress for all the people involved in the transaction. And it's really what I started the morning off with is, boy, anyone out there here, because as Jacques saying right away, is there's going to be multiple bids on the nice homes. If you don't have your funds together, Lisa, we're going to break it all down again. Hey, and let me just remind everyone, we're taking your calls all morning long, 248-539-9797. Again, Lisa, really getting prepared for home ownership, a true pre-approval letter. I got to say it, a real pre-approval letter.
Pre-approval letter is so important. You don't want to be the person saying, oh my gosh, I want to make an offer. You know, I just heard there's 9 showings already and I want to put my bid in. And they're like, well, with what? You know, you can't put your bid in with air. You have to be pre-approved.
Lisa, both the public and a lot of realtors don't understand that because you dialed in on a computer screen and you printed out a pre-approval letter.
Yeah.
Define a pre-approval letter for us.
I mean, that is one type of pre-approval, but those are the types of pre-approvals that sometimes don't stick. And, you know, I get some feedback, and I'm sure other people have heard as well, that, you know, your buyer's looking at a home and they're like, well, they're insisting I get pre-approved with their lender. They won't let me use this when I got online. And it's because sometimes, especially if you've got a unique circumstance, if you think you make $60,000 a year, but $20,000 of it is coming from overtime, you know, and you just started making overtime last year. Well, that may be an issue. If you're self-employed and you're writing off a lot of income, you're writing off unreimbursed business expenses. There's so many things that affect the way qualification works that it's important to have somebody who knows what they're doing, eyes looking at your actual documentation. You know, not
Doug and Jacques, when you have a Macomb County buyer and you get a letter from somebody in the area like Lisa Lawson, you can call Lisa up directly and say, hey, listen, while I know you can't give out personal financial information, did you run credit? Did you check their financials? Did you go ahead and verify funds? Did you check their pay
just plugging
stubs?
in the information into the online system isn't enough. You have to be able to. And then another thing that I'm doing with my listings when I get offers, I want to have an updated pre-approval since the COVID-19 has come in and things have changed. A lot of people's outlays and overlooks have changed, and we have to make sure that we have updated information because we have to do our due diligence to make sure all parties are getting a fair shake on the deal.
Yeah,
very important. Did they go back to work? Did they go back to work since COVID-19? Very
And if
important.
they did go back, are they working 40 hours a week? I've had a lot of borrowers that we have still been able to qualify, even though they may only be working, you know, 3 out of 5 days, or they took a 20% pay deduction temporarily. It doesn't mean that we get to use your previously deducted pay. You have to use what you're actually making at that moment. It does not mean you don't qualify. It just means that we may have to adjust something temporarily until your pay is restored, or whatever the situation scenario may be if you're out there looking for a home.
Yeah, the unknowns out there contribute to a lot of uncertainty, and we're still in the lockdown. A lot of states are, of course, still in this lockdown until May 28th. New York is extended to June 15th. Things are still unknown. Lots of unknowns.
Yes, unknowns. But one thing is not unknown. People are getting excited because they're seeing these car ads. Right? I don't have to make a payment for 3 or 4 months. We had 2 transactions last week where people decided, hey, we don't have to make payments on that new rent for 3 months. let's go get it. And they're right in the middle of the market application.
Ugh.
Stop.
When you
Don't do it.
that, please.
Yeah, we're gonna.
The public. What happened?
Yes, we definitely want to, with the debt to income ratio, talk all about that. Yeah, and we actually had that warning on it a couple of shows ago. We talked about it often. Is even though you might go get one of these no payments, once you go ahead and sign your name on the dotted line, the interest is accruing, or the payments do show up on your credit report, and you're obligated to qualify with that.
It's still new debt, whether you make a payment this month or 3 months from now. It is new debt. An underwriter's going to make us count it somewhere, somehow. It is most likely going to affect your approval.
Well, 50% of our clients, at least, they not only do they have their money to close, they can close within 30 days. And Jacques, there's no doubt about it. Those are 4- and 5-star clients of ours. Because why? Because they've reviewed everything. Their debt to income ratio falls in line. Whether they haven't sold their house or they're going to sell it, they qualify and they know how to proceed and what their plan is. So it's all about just putting this plan together. I don't know if this young couple that I took for a walk on Wednesday in my neighborhood, I hope he's not listening. Scott, my buddy Scott and Ashley, just wonderful young couple. But one of the things is they were moving forward. They were excited, maybe a little bit too. I don't want to say the age, but just too at the beginning of this process, and started making offers without having their funds together. And sure enough, they didn't have a deal at the end of the day, but it did give them an opportunity to step back and say, wait a minute here. Maybe we got to put our funds together. Let's go ahead at Harvey or whoever they want to decide if they're going to work with me or somebody, that they're going to have a real plan moving forward. And
Harvey,
I think that's
how many
key.
times do you sit there and say, I got a pre-approval. We can't get a hold of my lender. Is there any way that you can step in real quick and talk to this person who prep because they can't get a hold of us? Sure. Well, we try to appease everybody. We pull credit. We talk to them for a few minutes and I'm like, well, how much money do you have saved? And they give you this number and you're like, that's my 3% or that's my 3.5%. And they said, well, what are you using for your closing costs, prepaids? What do you mean? I only need 3.5%, right? I'm going FHA. Possibly you only need 3.5%, but we can't guarantee that a seller is going to be willing to pay all of your closing costs. They've never even had this conversation. They think they just need their 3.5% and they're done. And it's not the case. They either need to accept for closing costs, prepaids, which are taxes and homeowners insurance. Yes, the sellers can sometimes pay and are willing to pay, but not always. We can't make that assumption that that's the way it's going to go down. So a lot of times it's having these in-depth conversations. Can you pull out of a 401k? Can you pull out retirement? Can someone gift you money? Where are these funds coming from?
What I preach and teach, mortgage first.
Yeah.
Get that out there. Have that confidence. Yeah. And we talk about this.
I've got my $4,500. I want to buy this $150,000 house. Where's the rest of the money coming from?
And
They
that
look
goes
at you
back
like
to
a deer in
having-
headlights.
working with an agent that has a game plan for you before you go. Before you start looking at houses, you should have an in-depth consultation with your buyer's agent to go over not what just the house is, but some of the costs with it. People don't realize sometimes how much the closing costs are. It's not just that 10%, 20%, 3% down. There's other costs that are associated with it too. And you have to make sure you have all the money there because you can't just show up to closing with a wad full of cash the day of. You have to make sure that cash is vested. And Lisa, we know how that goes.
Right. Yep.
Right. A lot of that mattress money does show up. And again, so it's a warning out there. Anyone who's looking to purchase a home is really get your ducks in a row, decide who your team's going to be. And we always want to direct you to Capital Mortgage Funding, and we could set you up with some great real estate agents. And I think that's the key, is really putting that strong team together, sitting down, having that confidence to move forward. 248-539-9797. We're going to take all your calls here all morning long. Lots to share with you, including refinancing. Of course, mortgage rates are at these all-time lows. So if you are purchasing a house, boy, you don't have to worry about what the rates are going to be at, because they are at all-time lows. And a lot of other great things that are going on in the industry. I mean, definitely some of the numbers came out from April, Doug, and of course with the shutdown, home purchasing across the country was down 25%. I don't know, is that a bad? I mean, it's a bad number, sure, but with everything going on and all the uncertainty, 25% down in April doesn't sound too bad. I mean, really.
All they say about statistics.
Okay.
There's lies, there's damn lies, and there's statistics. So I think that what we really have to measure, and I measure, is the pulse of what's happening in our office, because we're used to doing 300-400 transactions, a couple hundred listings a month. So that's my pulse speed as my company.
Well, you guys got a big vat to fill for sure. We got a lot of purchasers out there, hopefully getting their ducks in rows. We're going to be talking about all morning long. Keep it here on 97.1 The Ticket, 248-539-9797. All your calls when we come back.
Hi, Harry Glantz and Dan Burke from Capital Mortgage Funding. Over 30 years in the mortgage banking industry, hundreds of thousands of families served. Let us serve you. Capital Mortgage Funding, 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker. Hi, Harry Glantz and Danberg from Capital Mortgage Funding. Over 30 years in the mortgage banking industry, hundreds of thousands of families served. Let us serve you. Capital Mortgage Funding, 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker.
Nope. All right, welcome back to the show. Just a quarter after 9 if you're joining us, May 16, 2020. It's going to be a gorgeous one out there. I know I'm cutting lawn, and I'll get to the office first and get some things done. But first, make sure you give us a call here at the show, 248-539-9797. You might want to go buy a house today, so be sure to call Capital Mortgage and really start engaging in what we can get you a strong approval letter and breaking down your funds to close. And we get you set up for home ownership. Many of you, Jacques, as we talk about this pent-up demand, and we talked about sort of the theme today is pent-up demand, and which of you out there are really ready to go and make these offers, because the inventory is a little on the lighter side right now for those great houses.
Yes, it is. Yeah. So the inventory was light before we entered this, and it's even lighter now because so many houses are going off the market. Sellers are still not putting in enough inventory on the market, and the buyers that want to buy are qualified. Some of them are qualified in their minds, but they're not truly qualified. So again, going back to the conversation before the commercial break, you have to have all your ducks in a row before you get out and go.
Hey, Doug, there's no doubt this recovery is going to be fueled by employment. The employment is out there, then the housing is strong. We see hopefully here that more and more of these jobs. We heard that the big three, of course, are getting back on the line. We're the auto state, so we want to see that. That's the first step.
And every supplier that goes along with it. Now, the whole thing with that we're seeing right now, and we're going to go back to the question about inventory. Well, a lot of people are saying, until we get through this thing, I've got kids. I don't want to have people going through my house. I want to wait. So we've seen in the last week a surge of inventory coming on. And I predicted this, that we'd have these buyers that are pent up. They've been locked up for 2 months together. It's like, we've got to get a bigger house. So we're seeing multiple offers. If you're in a good neighborhood, good schools, and you're well priced, you're going to have multiple offers.
Yeah.
Expected. Little story on one yesterday came on not even 48 hours ago.
What was the price? Give me a little.
285.
Okay, nice price range. Yeah, a lot of people in that market.
15 offers on.
Whoa.
Wow. So again, if you're an FHA buyer out there, it doesn't mean your offer isn't going to be stronger than a conventional offer,
No.
but make sure that lender is willing to answer the phone this weekend. If that listing agent calls and said, look, your FHA offer might be the strongest offer. It's a full price offer. Maybe the other ones were looking for some concessions. Is that house in move-in condition at 285?
No, it's a redo.
Oh, there you go. Okay. So that's even more interesting.
Another thing that I would suggest, if you're going to use a lender, make sure your lender is willing to call the listing agent to back up your client. You know, you guys are a team. One of my team members is going to call you from my lending team, and we're going to talk more about my client to make sure that they're vested, and let you know that our offer is solid. And that's one thing that you have to make sure when you are working with a lender, is that they are willing to go the extra mile for you.
Yeah, there's many times that know, I'm not waiting for our agent to reach out. I get a text saying, "Hey, we put an offer on the house. This is what we're looking at. Can you call this agent?" No, I'm happy to. I'm happy to call, explain this, that you're a strong buyer, that, you know, this is your situation, that we're looking to close in a quick manner. You know, you've already been underwritten. We've reviewed all of the documentation. We've pulled your credit report. We've gone through everything. All you need is a house. You know, and
That's a real warm feeling for a lot of the for the sellers out there, because again, they have something on the hook. They need to know that this isn't a contingent offer. They need to know that. And if you are making an offer based on the fact that you're going to sell your house, you need to come out and tell everyone involved, because you're really jamming the whole system up. So that's important in this time frame, is the honesty also involved with your agents, with your lender. And your lender's got to be obviously very, very honest with it.
And what's going on with bridge financing? A lot of these empty nesters might have very little that they owe on their mortgage for, and they're free and clear.
Yeah.
And they want to buy without having their home sold.
They usually,
how does that work?
Yeah, they usually don't even need it, Doug. At least, as you know, that most of the families then, Doug, because they have very low tax income, they're very low tax, they can purchase a new house with minimal down. And then maybe after they sell their house, they can go ahead and recast the loan. So instead of probably engaging in another loan, you know, adding on another layer within this 30 or 45 days, I think it's okay to avoid that bridge if you don't need it.
Hey, Harvey, Doug is just showing his experience level and his years in the business by using the term bridge loan. Okay.
Yeah.
So
well, he's an agent, you know.
That's an inside joke for anybody listening. That's an inside joke. But I want to ask you guys a question. I thought Harvey was going to go to me on this when we got back. It goes something like this. The last 8 days have been very frantic in the market since people have been able to come back to work in the real estate industry. It's been very strong. It's been very, very solid. Jacques, the question for you is, why wouldn't, all things being equal now, and Doug touched upon it, some sellers don't want people in their house, but all things being equal, why wouldn't a seller right now put their house on the market? Because they're going to get a high price for that property right now.
You know, some sellers are hesitant to put their house on the market because, one, like Doug said, because of not having people in the house. And we do have solutions for that with the virtual tours and the Matterport and things like that. Some sellers didn't have the property ready. You know, there was, when I was on the show last time, I said, take this time to get the house in order, get it clean. The sun's going to be shining. And sure as it is, sun's shining, the market's open. And then, you know, there's other concerns that sellers have. They're scared about not having inventory to go into or house to go into once they sell theirs. But that's where you have to sit down with your agent and come up with a game plan for not just the sale, but for the next process. Because if your house is priced right, you're going to get multiple offers. It's going to go under contract quick. It's going to close quick. So
and then occupancy from that buyer becomes an issue. Everybody wanted to close in 15 days, 22 days, 30 days. What we're seeing now are 45-day PAs, and then occupancy extended after that because people, like you said, might not have a place to go to.
Yeah, because they haven't been out looking.
They haven't been out looking.
They've not been able to. So
they
need
their
that
house
time.
is going to sell that fast.
Right. So their house sells to their, you know, I just had one come through the other day, 60-day occupancy, free occupancy.
Okay, there you go.
Because that's part of the negotiation. They threw that in there as a negotiation tactic.
That's a good way to, sometimes it's not always just the price that wins a multiple offer. It's also the other occupancy, the down payment, who the lender is. There's certain online lenders that don't get past some of my listings because I know that there's not a good chance we're not going to close. So there's other things. Just highest and best doesn't always mean highest price. It always means best offer.
Sometimes it just means best, right?
Best.
And best can be different things to different people, and sellers have different needs.
Yeah, there's several components that go into it, and we got to make sure that all those components are covered. And that's when working with an experienced agent, we'll be able to help you out to find out what the best is for you, not just the highest price, because that's not always the take here.
Right. Although we've had appraisers going out to properties nonstop through this. Inspections are all, my inspections have been on. We've had a group of inspectors that were doing them through this lockdown. They were in all hazmat suits and everything.
Yep.
Technology, though, it's there. I mean, you got to be using the technology now. You can do the virtual tour. You can have the seller show the house. There's still ways that this technology is pretty tight. But we mentioned it because of everything got opened up. Nothing like touching and being able to go there in person and see things. But you can start the transaction.
You can start it, yeah.
You can really start the transaction now and get your offer accepted. You can tell if the house has been redone. Yep. Now, give yourself a little bit extra day on that inspection or to get back into that property.
You know, so they usually have a 7-day inspection period. So right now I'm seeing a lot of 10-day inspection periods. It's not just because of the time it takes, but a lot of these inspectors are tied down with all this pent-up demand, with all these offers being accepted. So you have to be realistic and know that sometimes it's going to take a little bit longer.
Yeah,
That's
that's
not
a
a good
great
thing or a bad
point.
thing. That's just the
That's a
reality of
great
the current
point.
market.
Vendors in the transaction, everybody, are busy. Inspectors, appraisers, title companies,
Oh,
everybody's busy.
Oh,
So
Yeah.
I always say there's nothing magic about you want to set a June 30th closing date. Well, I'd love to have you close on June 30th, but if the inspector's tied up for 10 days and the appraiser's tied up for 10 days, listen, we could turn it around in a few days, but
Right.
it's not totally dependent. It's like it's an assembly line. There's a chain that goes on and everybody has to do their part. So, during this time, everybody has to be more flexible, not less flexible.
Yeah, there's a
Right.
lot of moving parts, and the biggest thing is open communication with all parties involved.
And I'd like to say, as a broker, and I tell people all the time, please don't waive your inspection.
Oh, yeah, no.
Okay,
Good
I know
point.
You might get realtors that say, hey, we want to really sweeten this offer, and don't waive your inspection.
Yeah, there's a
Hey,
lot of
Doug,
things
we
that-
had one come right out on May 7th. As soon as they turned the key, they walked through the house and they made the offer with waiving the inspection. And of course, they took that offer. It was $10,000 over and they waived the inspection. I mean, I can't think of a worse reason if you're a buyer. Okay, but they offered it, they took it, and they're going through with the transaction. They got the house they wanted. So we would never, like you, we would
That's very
never.
scary. You gotta have a fiduciary duty to your client when you're a buyer's agent. And
Yeah.
just because it sounds good, you never know.
That old Latin term, caveat emptor, buyer beware.
Yeah.
Okay?
You got nothing
We
to
have
fall
due
back on.
diligence there for a reason.
Hey, let me throw the number out there, guys. 248-539-9797. You always get me excited when you say sewer inspections. I'm sorry, what excites me. Why? Jacques, yeah, that was exciting me. But Jacques, sure enough, yes, one of the families I'm working with, they did the sewer line inspection with the video camera, and it needs to be blown out. There's an issue there. It needs to be cleaned up and fixed so that they're going to then get the camera down there so they can see what's going on. And Jacques, you had one. Can you say it or I can't say it? Okay, I'll let it go now. But right. Okay. Fair enough. I'll leave that. But again, these are things that you have to do your due diligence on. Now, if you're okay and you've got lots of extra money and you don't mind having an extra $8,000 or $10,000 to blow on the sewer line repair, then go ahead and help yourself. And if it's in a multiple bid situation and you know that they're not going to budge on the price, okay, these might be things that at least your buyer beware, as you said, Doug. At least you know what the cost is going into this house and what the project's going to be.
Do not rely upon that disclosure statement.
There's a little, okay, when we come back, we'll talk about what else there is to know. People have special assessments on these houses too. We will set you up for home success when we come back. 248-539-9797. Keep it here.
Hi, Harry Glantz and Danberg from Capital Mortgage Funding. Over 30 years in the mortgage banking industry, hundreds of thousands of families served. Let us serve you. Capital Mortgage Funding, 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker.
Funding. We are powered by Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation, NMLS 2289, equal housing lender. Always catch us here live in the studio every Saturday morning, 9 to 10. And call us 248-539-9797. I'm Harvey Freed. She's Lisa Lawson from Capital Mortgage Funding, and Doug Andrus, and of course, Jacques Gagnon from the Keller Williams Lakeside office. You guys are always fun to talk to. And like Doug said, used to doing 250 to 500 deals basically a month this time of year. So hopefully we'll have a little catch up here. And as Doug is very optimistic, and many of us are, it's a 50-50 world we live in now. So many of us are extremely optimistic, and I appreciate that, Doug. And Jacques, there's no doubt about it. This is how we make our feed our families and stuff. So we're so involved, Jacques, as we talked last night, we're so involved in the passion of really helping families. I don't always get that from other people. And I think it starts with the communication on the phone. You know, and I tell people, you can have my cell phone 24 hours a day and I'll answer the phone. You know, talk about the communication and the fun, and when everything goes down really good on a transaction, how fun it is.
Fun things about real estate is, first, you know, right now there's all these things going on, all this uncertainty and people's mentality and things like that. It's not just about the sale right now. It's about the whole transaction and providing a service for somebody that you put yourself aside and put their needs first. And that's the one thing about real estate that not all people do. They don't put themselves aside. It's not about your ego. It's not about what it is or what you make. It's about what you do for people. And if you always put people first in anything that you do, you're always going to come out ahead. And that's one thing that I'm finding. That's one thing that I was taught, you know. Shout out to my dad and mom for raising me the right way. And
yeah, they did.
Everybody else that I've worked with, all my mentors. And, you know, that goes back to the Keller Williams culture too. It's not your money. It's your people's experience and, you know, their livelihood that matter more.
Right.
I liken it to, I remember when someone said to me, you go to a doctor who would do for his patients like he would do for his family. And I feel like that everybody sitting at this table, we do for our clients like we would do for our own family. I wouldn't suggest a loan product or a situation to a client, you know, to rectify something that I wouldn't, you know, suggest for my own mother or my own brothers. You know, I want to make sure that we're always in the healthiest and best mortgage product possible, getting the lowest rate possible, and what makes sense for their situation. There is no, you know, someone asked the other day, well, what's your rate? What is this? And I said, there's no cookie cutter answer. They're like, well, do you buy down rates or don't you? And I said, every scenario was different. If you're going to be in a house, you plan on retiring in 20 years from this house,
right,
then it may make sense to buy down your rate if it's at a minimal cost. If you're moving next year, it may not, because why would we spend the money? And you have to spend the time with the borrower to find out their needs, a little bit of their long-term plan, to make sure that we're recommending the right options for them.
Right. A couple of things that came up too. We talked earlier in the show about really having that strong approval letter, and just little variances out there. One guy makes $75,000 a year, but like you said, at least maybe a lot of it's tied into this overtime. The overtime and bonuses are not guaranteed anymore. That income's only $50,000 base. So these are such important issues. Other things out there too. Who pays for your cars?
Right now, you know, being people's trusted advisor. When people say, "What do you do for a living?" How would you define in one word what you do? I'm an interpreter. I have to interpret for buyers and sellers, purchase agreements, listing agreements, city certifications, what this inspection means. I'm an interpreter more than anything else. What does your doctor do? They interpret medicine.
Yeah.
What does your CPA do? They interpret the tax law. More than ever, I'm a trusted advisor to people. I'm not a salesman.
Yeah, we are not. Okay. We're not in sales in real estate. People think, oh, if I could sell this, I could sell houses. That's not what you're doing. You almost have. It's not a transaction. It is a transaction in that sense, but at the same time, there's so many moving parts that you don't see unless you really focus on it. And if you look at it from a sale part, you're always going to miss what the whole big picture is, which is the entire fiduciary duty to your client, doing the things that are right for your people, and making sure it's a win-win deal for all parties involved.
People are giving me the keys to their home.
Yes.
Good point.
I have to be in their house. Go sell it for them.
Right.
You got to have pretty high trust factor going on out there.
Yeah.
All right, with who you're working with. And I think that just like you talked about searching out the right mortgage officer, searching out the right realtor,
Yeah.
okay, is critical. It takes 40 hours and passing a test to get a real estate license. That doesn't make you a realtor. All right, it takes a lot of training. It has you have to have a good mentorship.
Yeah.
Where people learning and they're being supervised. Be careful about the person who just got the real estate license. Make sure they have somebody backing them up.
Yeah, as long as they have a good team, right? Exactly, because we never want to knock on. And I like that. I'm always the guy that used to throw the experience. Oh, don't use them, but if they have a good team behind them, and those questions could be answered.
Nothing wrong with a new agent.
Right.
Nothing wrong
Right.
with that. As long as you have a good backer and you know the mentorship in place, a good brokerage that supports new agents, because I have had a lot of offers on some of my properties, and you get to these agents and they're deer headlights, and they don't even know the first step to do it.
They've had no
They
training.
don't.
Here's
Yeah.
their training at some companies. Here's the keys. Here's the phone. Here's the desk. You're on your own. All right.
Exactly. In those
We don't
steps.
do that.
rhymes.
We got a 2,000 square foot school.
Harry, it is. It is though.
Good one.
All kidding aside, Doug, you mentioned it. You guys aren't salespeople anymore. You're psychologists. You're breaking that down. You've got to control a lot of emotions and a lot of personalities involved. And you're negotiators.
You're gonna be Dr. Phil and Joel Osteen. You never know who you are. Then.
Yeah, and an interpreter. Oh, come on, stop. Yeah, there's no doubt. You got to know a lot of different languages and a lot of different personalities to get involved in real estate. What'd you say, Harry? Yeah, nothing wrong with his positivity. Hey, 248-539-9797. We always give you 1 hour of the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show, answering your questions about mortgages and real estate. Some great guys in here from Keller, Lakeside. And again, we talk often about just these important things, is having the right team and really finding out a little bit more about the people, maybe their morals, their direction, and the plan. You got to have a really great plan together and a great team. Hey, so we got open lines, 248-539-9797. If you want to list your house or buy a house, definitely give us a phone call. Lisa, there's a lot of language in a mortgage. There's a lot of language in terms when you're buying a house, guys. Yeah, there is. But on top of everything else, Lisa, you've got the trust and the estate plans out there. For our families that are refinancing, sometimes a refinance is a very cookie cutter transaction. And other times, there's a little bit more documentation involved. And even on a purchase that we were working on together, our gentleman who's buying down in Texas, we found out it sounded easy. His family's business is paying for the car. It sounds easy enough. Lo and behold, mom sends one check to cover 3 Ford 250s and a Ford 350, and a Silverado and maybe a Ram too.
Different account numbers, none of them match. The payment amount is a specific amount, right? Because it's one truck payment. But
right.
She sends checks for like flat amounts, 2,000, 3,000. I just want to get ahead. And then the wrong account number. It was a bookkeeping. I'm going to say nightmare. Hopefully,
right. So
or not streaming me online, but we got through it. Actually, it was a lot of work.
Right, a little bit extra documentation.
Absolutely. And often loan officers try to take things that are difficult and we do it ourselves. We're trying to make the transaction as easy as possible for you, right, as the buyer. Sometimes there's nothing I can do. I need your help. I can't sign into your bank accounts. I can't figure that, it wasn't my bank account. So he had to do a little bit extra work, more than probably the average Joe, but we got her done. So.
Right. Hey, if that car payment accounted against him, then his debt to income ratio is off and he's not buying that house. It's as simple as that. And again, that's why you really have to sit down. Who's paying for that office expense or that car payment? Are you paying for it? Does someone else cancel? Did you co-sign for your daughter's car? But if you're sending the check and she's giving you the cash, we can't document that she's paying for it. And again, the land contract. Go ahead. Yes.
Student loans all the time. And they're like, well, the student loans aren't in repayment. And the parents are like, well, I don't understand. It's my kid's student loan. Why are you counting it against me? Well, it's not in repayment. So we have the formulas that we have to use. You've co-signed for a $50,000 student loan for your child who's still going to school. We have to usually take, depending on the loan type, between 0.5% and 1% of the total debt and include it as a monthly payment. I mean, that could sometimes hurt you. And that's the parent. So
I have a good question for you, because this came up the other day. We were masterminding, and I was with Stacy Purden, and you guys.
Yep, we know Stacy. Yep.
And she said, you know what? Through all of this, it's made me more efficient. She says, I'm doing 3/4 of my presentations with people, just like we're right here Zooming right now. And I said, well, that's going to be a great idea. I'm sure that Capital Mortgage is going to do the same thing. And I come here this morning, and we're Zooming this right now.
Yeah.
So Lisa, you could Zoom with one of my clients.
Absolutely.
All right. You don't have. It's a convenient hourly type of thing. And think about it. What Zoom is bringing to us in terms of efficiencies of what we can communicate,
right.
how fantastic that is.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah, you'd be happy. You'd be happy to meet with one of my clients via a Zoom meeting.
Absolutely. Not a problem. I said, we've been doing that already. Sometimes clients, even though they might not actually need to physically see somebody, they want the reassurance. They want to see who I am. They want
put
to
a face to a name,
put a
face to a voice.
Yes, exactly. So
right.
we're happy to do that anytime.
Well, now we're doing that too.
Yeah.
For buyer consultations.
Yep.
Okay. For doing the showings, virtual tours.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know about you, but sometimes borrowers have questions about documents. They've already made the application. We have a new e-signing system, and sometimes it can be confusing. They send you all these
Right.
What I call the back email, right? So you send it, they want to verify who you are, and then they send
Yes.
you a code, and then
Do their due diligence.
right, exactly. So sometimes it can get a little confusing, but we, hop online all the time and walk them through it step by step. Say
Right.
this is how it gets done. So we try to make things as easy as possible for people. And sometimes people are old school. I had a gentleman the other day. He's like, I've tried this 4 times. I don't want this. I just want paper. Like,
And that's
not a
so
problem. That's what
opportunity,
UPS next day or FedEx next day for, and
You
that's
can
what we
still
do.
do that.
Absolutely.
Gentlemen, Realtor.com said that a lot of the sellers out there, through this COVID, they kept firm. If they had their house on the market and they weren't willing to take it, they kept firm because they knew that there was a lack of inventory. Pretty good move there.
This COVID thing doesn't mean prices are going to drop.
Right.
Some of my listings are getting these really low offers, and I tell the agent that's not the case. The inventory is still where it's at. The home still has the value. The community still has this. This was a temporary bump here, and it's a crisis, no doubt. But the reality is that we can get through it, and the market's hot. It's going to stay hot.
All right, we're going to come back and take some calls here. 248-539-9797. Stay on the line with us, and we'll be right back.
Hi, Harry Glantz and Danberg from Capital Mortgage Funding. Over 30 years in the mortgage banking industry, hundreds of thousands of families served. Let us serve you. Capital Mortgage Funding, 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker.
Hey, welcome back to the show. 9:45. It's the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding. What was that? Oh, we got some feedback. That's pretty cool. Hey, join our show, 248-539-9797. Hey, we got some callers calling in, and again, we want to hear from the public. Tom out there on a cell phone. Hey, Tom, you're going to be selling your home? Can you hear us? Go ahead. Hey, Tom, what's up? Good morning, sir. Hey.
As is. Yep.
Why not? I like that, Jacques. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, you can sell the house as is. You don't have to do the repairs. You just have to disclose that that there's a foundation issue, that this is what it's going to be. If you work with a real estate agent, if it was me that you would work with, or any of good agents, they'd go out there and tell you, this is what we need to talk about. This is what you need to market it as. And you also need to let the future potential buyers know that there is a foundation issue. You have had it inspected before with a company saying that this is what you need to do with it, but you can sell it, and it could be cash. Foundation issues could go conventional, and that's where our mortgage comes in. So there is opportunities to finance homes that have issues. Just certain finance tools can be used. Not all of them, but working with good lenders, you can figure it out. So it's all about how you market it.
And you can share those contract estimates.
Yeah, absolutely. Have them and have them in the docs and have those available so you can say, because what some buyers will do, they'll try to use that as a negotiation tool. But if you have firm, concrete estimates, that's a great way for you to back up why you're pricing the house the way it is and to counter negotiate when you get an offer in.
Hey, Tom. At the beginning of the conversation, I sort of missed it a little bit. This house sounds like it's got some cool things about it besides the nasty foundation. What lake's it on? Where is it? Okay, yeah. Oh, that's
beautiful.
Very popular, very popular.
Yeah.
And what's the price range of the house? Well, that's wow.
Yeah.
You better get some professionals.
Yeah, I was
involved
showing houses on Lake Fenton last week, and 125 is pretty low. So
that's a lot.
Yeah, you definitely. Yeah, that's there. I was just out there last week showing houses. There's some beautiful houses out there. What a beautiful piece of God's country.
You need an experienced agent to make sure that even with those issues that you're getting the top dollar for that house.
All right. Hey, thanks for the call, Tom. I'll let you go there, but really appreciate it. Just a really good example there of getting more professional people involved in your transaction is a game changer. And again, on a lake, you got something really you're working with now. The weather's, on a day like today.
Especially with a house like that, if you do try to sell it by yourself, any buyer is going to be able to beat you up with that.
Yeah.
You don't have an agent to protect you. Sometimes when you have issues with your homes, you should really hire that agent, because we're here to protect you from the beat up that sometimes will come from buyers agents or from buyers.
125 that they have is more likely an investor who's going to do a redo and try
Yeah.
and flip.
Yeah, maybe just knock it down.
They're probably going to
Probably an investor.
or total it.
Absolutely.
You guys, 2020 started off like gangbusters. We think the second half of the year is going to be really exciting. That's what's really fun in mortgages and real estate as we sit here today, in the middle of May. New construction, though, really kicked off. Even at the beginning of the year, prior to the virus being out there, single permits were up big time. They were up 18.9%. I mean, almost up 20% to kick off the year.
The problem my builders have right now is their subs. The subs are packed busy.
Oh, they're just
plumbing. The subcontractors are super busy.
Yeah, they are so busy to get things done, and that's the problem. There's not enough, and if you're going to work with a builder, make sure they're using the contractors. A lot of ones that we know do.
Mike Rowe. I'm going to encourage my kids to be an electrician, plumber. It's like these guys are killing it, and they have no college expense. And we really are crying for tradesmen in our country today, everywhere.
Yeah,
good,
that's a great
good
point.
tradesmen that do good quality work. And we're seeing, and with this coronavirus, you're going to see some people are not comfortable living in the downtown areas anymore. And we have a metropolis, downtown Detroit. We're not as large as some of the other cities, but you're going to start seeing people moving to the suburbs again because of the closeness of being with other people. That's the reality of the situation. And
They want a little space. They want that 6 feet.
yeah, they want that
Things
space.
change.
They want that yard. They
Right.
want to be able to have the family. If this ever happens again, to go run around the yard and not be staring at 4 walls with no patio.
Yeah, 62% of the families in the month of April actually had a conventional loan. I want to throw some numbers out there. FHA and VA comprise of 23%, and then the rest is USDA, and then of course the cash offers still comprise a decent amount, maybe 5 to 10%, I think, of the transactions out there. But figure out where you fit into all of this, because whether you're an FHA loan or a conventional mortgage, there's reasons why your offer is stronger.
Mm-hmm.
And again, there's nothing wrong with an FHA buyer. I think I always pose the question when I do things in front of real estate agents. Whenever I'm doing a little presentation or a seminar in front of agents, I always ask these questions. Hey, does everybody know what the loan limit is? FHA here in Southeast Michigan, and usually no one really knows that. But we're up over $331,000 now.
Mhm.
And this is a great opportunity now for families. Again, you don't need a whole lot of money. If you just bought a house a few years ago and you find your family's already growing out of it, the low interest rates have cushioned you. That's the cool thing,
Yeah.
Jacques. Are you insulated? Are
Absolutely.
you insulated? Did you buy the house right? Has the value gone up?
Absolutely.
Or something we talked about, Doug? Who knows if there's a road assessment on this coming up? You can really jam yourself up if you're not educated. And that's why we talked about having those professional agents.
Right.
There's always a little bit more, guys, as you know, other than the seller's disclosure.
It's not just the cost when you talk about the road assessments and stuff. It's the down payment cost, the closing cost, and then the home ownership cost that we were talking on the last break. If there is a road assessment coming up and it's going to be in your HOAs, don't get sidelined by it. You should be prepared for it. If the taxes are going to go up because the house hasn't been sold in 60 years, your agent and your loan officer should be conveying this to you. You don't want to get sticker shock after closing, and then that leads to no referrals for the listing agent or the buyer's agent.
I want to give a shout out to right now?
Who's that?
The Blue Angels. I want to bring in.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, VA.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Blue Angels working. I hope you had a chance.
Everyone went out to check it out.
Absolutely
Check
awesome.
out the videos that are out there. It's remarkable. Perfect day for it. But more importantly, veterans. I'm talking to you right now. If you haven't used your VA benefit,
Yes.
you're silly.
And even if you've used it, you can use it again.
Again,
It's a misnomer that
one
you
of the
can't.
best benefits for homeownership
Absolutely.
that you have. And talk about the VA loans a little bit, because sellers go, how can they buy a house with 0 down?
Well,
Yes.
it's the least that we can do for them. They served our country. I mean,
Yeah.
and it doesn't mean that they're not putting money into the transaction. 0% down means yes, they don't have to make a down payment, but they're still contributing to their closing costs. They're still setting up tax escrows. They're still paying for their inspection. Doesn't mean that they're not investing in their
Right.
own.
Yeah.
And everyone knows I used to live very close to Selfridge for years and years and years, and I absolutely love VA loans. They're my absolute favorite loans to do, and everybody knows it. There's so much misinformation and I guess like a misconception about what a
In
VA
the
loan
industry, the VA loans, a lot of listing agents don't offer that or FHA as a option to finance on their listing because they're scared of what it is.
Yeah.
I used to be scared of FHA.
Until you
I
learn this
did a
stuff
couple.
then. Yeah.
And then once you get a couple inspections and the things that you think VA or FHA are going to mark on the appraisal, usually are not what you think they are, and they're
No.
very easily remediable.
usually very easily.
And
Right,
it opens your listing up to a whole group of people that are looking to buy.
yeah.
that
And wouldn't you want to
didn't allow
sell your
before.
home to a vet, someone who served the country,
Oh, yeah.
protected our nation? You know what I mean?
What's the max on the VA now?
There is none.
It's unlimited.
It's actually unlimited.
There is no.
We ended up,
You can buy
we
it
capped
at
it at, yeah.
A lot of people think the same as FHA.
No,
No,
it used to be.
it used to
It
be,
changed.
yeah. We literally, you have no max on that. You can buy, if you were a veteran, you could be a physician veteran, you could
Correct.
buy 0 down. So a lot of opportunities. Doug, I'd like to get you through out there. Something great about Michigan, the Blue Angels, Selfridge Air Force Base.
Yeah.
We had some flyovers over. It's really cool to get a sense of what's going on. Of course, our military's out there. A salute to all the military, but also a lot of other great things in Michigan, Doug. I just wanted to list a few of them. The Michigan wineries, what a sleeper out there. And as soon as this all breaks and we can cut loose and get back up north, it's going to be a lot of fun. The Henry Ford Museum.
I don't know who Blake's Orchard's PR person is, but he's
Oh
been
my
on the
God.
news. all
Oh,
the
he's-
time.
well,
His
there's-
hand size
Love
is-
it.
Yeah, if
Love
you
that.
it's a fun thing to do if
Take
you
a
have
drive.
kids. Take a drive out to Armada. Go out to
Yeah.
Blake's for a day.
It's
Grab a
fantastic.
6-pack of cider and donuts.
Or hard
Grab-
cider.
Well, we're gonna say that too. And go park somewhere out there and enjoy with your family. There's
Absolutely.
beautiful Michigan businesses out there that we should support during this time.
Absolutely.
They're doing things right.
We added on a really nice one out there. Salute to all the boaters. Be safe. We got a lot of cool things here in Michigan. We got golf. We got boats. We got something called the Great Lakes. Get out there and enjoy some of this. So
Be well and be safe.
all right. Hey, guys, thanks a lot. Keller Williams, Lakeside, of course, Jacques, and of course, Doug Andrus. Guys, thank you very much. Lisa Lawson from Capital Mortgage Funding. Harry Glanz there at home on his home office doing the Zoom broadcast with us. I want to thank all the listeners, of course. Keep it here on 97.1. Oh, there he is. We've got the guy coming up, Pat Caputo with sports. Keep it here all day long, and we'll see you next Saturday.